Seoul's top diplomat mentioned during a parliamentary audit that the Moon administration is considering easing its sanctions on North Korea. U.S. President Donald Trump responded by saying that won't happen without America's approval. And now South Korea's presidential office says Trump's response shows how strong relations are between Seoul and Washington. Park Hee-jun gets us up to speed with the developments.
South Korea's presidential office on Thursday looked to soften President Trump's latest remarks about South Korea easing its sanctions on Pyongyang. Speaking to reporters, presidential spokesperson Kim Hee-kyum said South Korea sees those remarks as a way of explaining that the two allies discuss and agree on such measures before they act, and that they only prove how closely the allies are working together. In Washington on Wednesday, the U.S. president had said Seoul won't lift sanctions on North Korea without U.S. approval. He was responding to comments by South Korea's Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa, who suggested that Seoul was considering easing its own sanctions on Pyongyang to encourage the regime to give up its nukes. She later took back those remarks. Those sanctions were imposed on the North after its deadly torpedo attack on the South Korean warship Cheonan in 2010. Still, the fact that President Trump rejected the idea of South Korea canceling sanctions alone could indicate that Seoul and Washington are still in lockstep on North Korea. South Korea's Unification Minister Cho Myung-kyun said later that in fact there had been no detailed review of lifting the sanctions. He did say, however, that Seoul has been flexible in improving relations between the two Koreas. And he said the North too is getting ready for its second summit with President Trump and is doing so in view of what the international community demands and expects. Park Hee-jun, Arirang News.